Okay, anyone else? All right, let's get started. Let's come to standing, and you can begin by shaking while I mute the whole group. And welcome to Friday Pilates mat. Some fun with the foam roller, and let's begin with some dynamic warm-ups. So shake your hands and let your knees bounce. And remember this idea from Qigong that hinges don't rust if they get used. So let the fingers, the wrists, the elbows shake, maybe shake a leg and shake a leg. We want to let the energy move in our bodies. And so we want to begin playing with that movement and feeling, oh, yeah, that's where I'm tense. I'm going to shake a little more that direction. There's my scoliosis for you. And then let's release the hands down and let's circle up to the left and down to the right. And let your body stretch open as much as is comfortable, but don't feel like you have to go into 110% of stretch. Just let the body open. And if you have shoulder issues, just let the joints move a little as the hands don't go all the way up. Okay, so some of you may keep bent elbows, but let your weight shift side to side over the left foot and over the right foot. Inhaling and exhaling and drawing the breath deep into the back body. And then let's bring the hands down and circle up to the right, leaning right, overhead, leaning left. But let the lean still be centralized enough that you don't strain the spine. So it's an easeful circling arm movement. And as you circle your arms, notice your feet. Are you gripping the toes? Try not to grip the toes. Plant the four corners. And I will be doing a foot workshop on Zoom. And it will be different than last time, which was now like 2 years ago, if you can believe it. I'm going to work on the still foot, the standing foot, and then the walking foot. And then let's just swing side to side. You could swing just the arms and come to the toe of the other foot, or you could lift the leg off. Now, as you're swinging the arms, notice, do I hitch my shoulders up around my ears? That would be over efforting, right? See if you can just use the swing of the arm and the leg, and how little effort can you put into the swing? Because we want to begin moving with grace and ease. And so we find this effortless effort. And then pause and swing the left arm out to the left, right arm up and lunge slightly. And then pause there and notice, have I thrown my head really far forward? Let's lengthen back up, lifting the heart slightly skyward. And release the arms and swing the other way. And release and swing. So notice where your head and heart are. You don't have to lean really far forward, which would strain the low back. Keep a gentle lift of head and heart. Yeah, fluid breath. One arm rising in front of you, one off to the side, and going through kind of a gentle squat in the center, coming to the lunge, waking up the knees. Now maybe you can point the back toe, stretching the back foot a little bit. Good. And then maybe you can make it lighter and lift the back leg off and float and float. Fluid breath. Good. And then release back down and let the arms just swing around your body. Now, those of you who don't twist, feel how this is still really working your humerus bone in the shoulder joint. Your elbows get to release, your hands are relaxed. Those of you who do twist, let the spine twist, but don't force it. And feel into the spine and just notice, where are the tight spaces for me? Fluid movement. And then let the front hand come up and lightly tap the heart. And the back hand come to the back, lightly tapping the kidney. In Qigong, this is called knocking on the door of life. So as we begin class today, we're knocking on the door of life. And it is a nice day we're knocking on the door of here. And then let the arms swing again and come back to center and begin to march. There's some deer running by outside. Let your elbows bend and your heart lift. And see if as you lift the foot off the floor, you can point the toe towards the floor. Working those hinges of the ankles. Now feel into the idea of leaning a little back and notice your front abdomen turn on. And then feel into leaning forward and notice where your back tightens. Try to come to that balancing place. Heart lifted, head resting back. And then pause. Step your feet outer hip distance wide and float your arms up. And exhale, swing the arms, letting them go. And then inhale, float up again and see, can you come to the balls of the feet? And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. So maybe a few swings, follow your own breath. And then inhale when you're ready, come to the toes. Exhale. Had to jump. Fluid breath. Inhale. Exhale. And then come back up to standing, hands to the heart. And just pause for a moment. Root down into the heels. Lift one foot and stretch the foot forward and place down the big toe ball mound and then the pinky toe ball mound. Hinge the other toes off the ground. Reach the foot long. Big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound. Roll to the outer edges of your feet. Roll to the inner edges of your feet. So lift the pinky toe side off the floor. Roll back to the outer side. Lift the inner side off the floor. And just roll back and forth for a minute. Feel that work in your ankles and across your feet. And then plant all four corners. Now, everybody, throw your knees back as far as they go. Feel how that locks the knee. And then soften the knee forward and visualize your upper leg bone, the femur bone, lining up over the tibia of the shin. Bring your hands to your pelvis. Now nod your pelvis forward and stick your hind end out. And then lift your pelvis up and sit bones come forward. Pubic bone lifts, femur bones come forward. Throw your pelvis forward. Feel what happens in the upper body. Now hollow the groins back. Bring the femur bones back right under the pelvis. Pelvis is upright. Now from this pelvis, bring your hands to the rim. Push down on your pelvis, root through the femur bones and the tibia bones into the feet, the four corners of the feet. Now lengthen the spine out of the pelvis. Lengthen the curves. Bring your shoulder blades onto the back. Bring your thumbs to the back of the spine. And inhale, lifting the heart. Root the tailbone. It does not tuck. You do not flatten the low back. Root it straight down like the third leg of a stool. And lengthen the spine up. Broad across your shoulder girdle. Let the head and hyoid bone rest back. And breathe into the heart center. Yep. Everybody let your head rest back. Now it's not like this in the rest back. It's from the hyoid bone in and gently up. The base of the skull lifts a little bit. Yeah. And then release and pick up your hand weights. Okay. So Posey asked for a little of the balance work we did last week. I'm trying to remember what that was, but I know what we did on Wednesday, and we can do that with the hand weight work. So let's inhale, float up to the T, and exhale down. And inhale, float up forward, palm facing palm. float down, and in, and exhale, and inhale forward, and exhale down. Now inhale, lift the toe as you come to the T, and exhale, lift to the other toe as you come forward, and release, and we inhale, and exhale, and inhale, and exhale. Now really concentrate on lengthening the spine and rooting the standing foot. Heart still lifting, head still resting back. Good. Now C, can you lift the knee and release? Lift the knee and release. And we inhale, exhale, and inhale, exhale. Don't throw your arms, float your arms, okay? So make sure you're not throwing them hard. Lift lightly. And even if they don't lift all the way to parallel, make sure you're not throwing them around. They're floating. With beautiful precision. Becomes a moving meditation. Yes. And then see, can you float the knee up and open the arms out and close and inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale, release and float up and open and close and open. Remember, you could be on your toe and close, open and close and release. Float your right arm up, left arm down, and windmill, and windmill, and windmill. Now windmill, lift to the right side toe, windmill, left side toe, windmill, perhaps the knee, and windmill, and windmill, and windmill, and hold. Oops, hold. See if you can balance. Shoulders broad. Can you lift the toe and bend the knee? And lift the toe and bend the knee. And one more time. Bend the knee and step down. And windmill and release. Windmill and release. Lift and release. Lift and release. And lift to the toe. And lift it up. And straighten the leg. And bend the knee and straighten the leg. You could be down here on the floor. Draw the toe in, press it out, draw the toe in, and release. Float your arms as you take the right toes out. Float up into your snow angel and lift. And release and touch and lift and touch. Lengthen the spine and release and float. And let go. Try the other side. Lift and release. And reach and let go. Long spine, both sides. And one more. And release. And roll your shoulders. And float your arms up. And open into your cactus. And exhale. Close. And cat curl the spine and pause. Breathe into the back ribs, breathe them away from the vertebrae. And then inhale, open the heart and pause. Root your tailbone. Hug in the banks of your river and lift the heart. Lift the gaze, relax the shoulders. And exhale, pinkies together, take an inhale in the position. Exhale, arms apart, lift the heart. Exhale, bend the knees as you bring the arms together. Take an inhale into the back body. As you're ready, exhale the movement. Inhale, straighten the legs and lift the heart. And exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Keep going at your own pace. Exhaling the movement. And inhaling the position. Now, standing tall, exhale the pinkies together, lift to one toe, and open, and lift to the other toe, and open and release. Touch, and open, touch, and open. Some of you will lift the knee, touch down, lift the knee, touch down. Hug in the banks of your river and see if that helps you with balance. And Jeannie and George, I can explain banks of the river after class if you want. In and out, and in and out, and press up. Now notice if you press up and do any of the things we talked about, throw the knees back, throw the pelvis forward, find your femur bones right over your tibia. Release the arm bones into their sockets. If you need to curl the arms a little to be open, then do. Pause here and lift to a toe and release. Lift and release. Now can you gently circle the arms? Lift to the toe and release. Circle the other way, lift to the toe and release. Lift a knee, other way, and release. Circle the other way, lift a knee and release. And open the elbows, turn the palms in and bicep curl and open. Now make sure that you're not throwing the hand weight open and the wrist and elbow locked. Feel into your joints of your arms, protect them. Feel into your feet on the floor, lift your toes, lift your arches, find your four corners, relax the toes. Inhale the curl, exhale the release, and lift to one toe, and release to the other toe, and release. Lift a knee, and release. Lift a knee, and release. Now you can stop anywhere along this trajectory. You can stay with the toe. It's still working on balance. You can stay with the lifting knee. Those of you who would like to go a little farther, we will lift the knee, open the leg, and release. Lift the knee out, draw it in, and release. Try the other side. Lift the knee, open the leg out, open the arms. Bring the arms and leg in, and release. Lift the knee, open the arms, bring it all in, and step down, open the arms, lift the knee, open the arms, bring it in, and step down, and roll your shoulders. So neurologically, it's good for us to get out of our patterns, right? To realize that we can do things a little differently. So now I want you to take the right arm forward and the left arm, I'm going to do that again. Take the left arm forward and the right arm out. Now stand tall. Find your center line. Hug in the banks of your river. Lift the pelvic floor. Lengthen up the spine. Now see, can you stand strong on your right leg and lift the left knee and circle it out? You could be on your toe. Circle, 2, 3, or you could lift the knee. Circle, 2, 3, and come down. Woo. Now roll your shoulders. Remember, you don't have to use the hand weights if you don't want to. Lift the right arm forward, left arm out. Hug in your outer hips towards the center channel. Lift the pelvic floor. Feel long and strong in your legs. And see, can you lift to the toe of the right foot? Circle the knee out. 2 and 3. Some of you will lift the knee. Circle out. 2 and 3. Bring the arms wide. Lift to the next toe. Lift the knee. Stretch the foot forward and bend and straighten and bend and straighten and bend and straighten and bend. Release. Roll your shoulders. Float the arms up. Find the banks of your river. Come up to the toe and lift the knee and lengthen and bend and lengthen and bend, lengthen and bend, lengthen and bend, and step down and roll the shoulders. Okay, let's do one more piece of arm work here for our rhomboids. Bring your weights together like you're creating wings with your arms, and bend your knees. And float the shoulder blades more central on the back ribs, but don't try to crack the walnut. And then bring the wingtips together and open and close. So you're hinged forward in an Utkatasana, long and strong in the spine because you're lifting the pelvic floor. Feel your shoulder blades come onto the back ribs and then kind of wing around a little bit, strengthening the muscles around the shoulder blades. Develop awareness in this movement. And one more. And then release your arms and stand tall and roll your shoulders. Now bend your knees again and bring your arms back. Broad across your shoulder girdle. Find your shoulder blades on the back and bend your arms and lower towards the floor and lift and straighten. Now reach your fingers long, your knuckles long behind you, and stretch the neck forward. Feel into the long curves of your spine. Hug in the banks of your river, lift the pelvic floor. Feel into the long curves of your spine. Bend your elbows, release, lift. Feel the shoulder blades on your back and lengthen. Pause here again. Find the banks of your river. Hug them in as hard as you can. That's over gripping. Now release to where you can hold integrity without over gripping. Check in with your feet. They're not over gripping. Check in that you're not hinging too far back at the elbow, not over gripping. Shoulders are relaxed away from the skull, not over gripping. And bend the elbow, release the arms, and unhinge. Roll the shoulders. All right, nice arm work, everyone. Okay, let's come to the floor. And let's lie down. And let's begin with just some pelvic nods and some pelvic somatic walking. So let your shoulders rest back wide on the mat. In fact, let's bring the arms into robot arms, palm facing palm, and press the head of the arm bone back towards the floor. Don't overdo it, but really try to find that release. Feel the humerus bone pressing back. Even if the shoulders lifted off the ground, the head of the arm bone a little, we want to try to release across the collarbones and release the head of the arm bone down. Now press at about 10% of effort, just 10. Relax your hands. Press at 20% of effort from the head of the arm bone to the elbow. Now notice if you lift your ribs to do this, try to keep your neutral spine. Press at 30%, at 40%, at 50%. Pause there. Now check in, is 50 really 50? Try 100. 50 might be more like 80. Come back down to 50. Take some three-dimensional breaths while you're pressing the arm bones back at 50. Remember, we want the hairline and the chin parallel with each other. We don't want the chin jutting skyward. If it is, you bring in a pillow. Now see if you can try 60 with the arms. And then relax the arms and come back to 30%. Heels aligned with your sit bones. If you have a pillow in, you press it out. Lift the pelvis. And lift the right pelvis higher than the left. And switch, and switch. So can the arms help you stay grounded without over-efforting? So feel into becoming completely lax and how the whole shoulder girdle may sway with the hips too. Not necessarily bad, but then just activate a little across the shoulder girdle. Let the sway be a little lower in the back. And then come to center. Hug your sit bones towards each other and lift the pubic bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and lower down. And nod tailbone towards the floor and tailbone towards the sky. And gentle pelvic nods. And those of you who've had spinal surgeries, very gentle if you do this. And then a gentle lift of the right hip, a release of that hip, very gentle lift of the left, and we gently rock. Those of you who don't want to rock, that doesn't feel good, then rest in a supported bridge on a ball or a block. Let your pelvis rock, let your arms relax. And just invite the head of the arm bone now to relax into the hug of gravity as your spine releases on the mat. Fluid breath. Now right here, lift up the toes, spread them wide. Press into your big toe ball mound, your inner heel. Find your outer heel and your pinky toe ball mound. Relax the toes. And come to stillness. Reach for your foam roller or your block, ball, or oud, and draw it in so that we can do a little barrel work on the roller. So have it underneath you, under the sacrum, and float one leg to tabletop and the other to join. And open your knees as wide as your shoulders touch your heels together. Joseph Pilates was all about precision. So feel into your body. Your gaze is perpendicular to the floor. Your neck has a cervical curve, and your shoulders are broad. And then we toe dip. Remember, the foot follows the angle because you've opened your knees and your heels are together. And then we toe dip the other side. And we inhale the dip and we exhale the lift. And we invite the breath to fill the 3 dimensions of the torso on the inhale. Follow the breath. So move slow and easy. This is not your fast-paced interval cardio workout. This is a getting to know the body through mindful movement. We inhale and dip. Exhale, draw back up, waking up our front hip flexors. And now bring the heels together and close the knees and hug the knees towards midline. Hug the outer banks of your river. Find your glutes. Find your outer legs all the way to the outer edge of the feet. Hug it towards center. Lift your pelvic floor into the body and open the left leg out to the left and pause. Pause and really ground. Feel how the left shoulder grounds. Draw a line across to the right buttock. And then exhale and close. Open the right leg. Feel how the right shoulder grounds. Connect it to the left buttock, to the left sacrum on the roller. Stay strong there and close. And open the left leg now. Feel from the right low rib to the left hip pointer and use that line to draw the left leg back in. Open the right leg. Feel from the right hip pointer to the left low ribs. Shorten that line a little as you draw the leg back in. And open left and close and open right and close and feel into your myofascial slings. Build a consciousness around them. We use them for balance. Now bring your legs together. You can stay with the pages of the book if you don't twist, or bring your knees over to the left and let yourself roll on the roller in that direction, and then roll back to center and bring the legs to the right. So those of you without a roller, you can stay with toe dips or with pages. Those of us with a roller, we just roll across that hip tissue. You should be feeling a little pressure across the tissue that connects the pelvis, the upper pelvis, to the greater trochanter. We're just massaging that tissue a little bit side to side, opening the low spine a little bit. Now, when you've rolled the knees way over to one side, really feel the opposite shoulder. Feel the opposite low ribs. Use them to draw the legs back in. One more time, take the knees to the other side. Feel the opposite shoulder that you're twisting away from. The opposite low ribs. Use those lines to draw you back to center. And lift your feet towards the sky. Open your Pilates V. Now, take your feet just 6 inches apart. Point your toes and very lightly tap your heels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now bring the right foot just Create a 6-inch gap between your feet. Right foot forward, left foot towards the foot of the mat. Open and tap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Switch sides. So left foot forward. Now you're just lightly tapping the heels, but you are touching them because we're working on precision. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Heels together. Now we're going to work at 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Okay? So right foot to 11, left foot to 5. We open and touch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to switch to 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And bend your knees and draw your knees in towards your chest and float one foot to the floor and then the other. And lengthen one leg out over your block, ball, or roller. Take a deep breath in through the pelvis. Flex the lengthened foot and point. So your foot does not have to touch the ground. If that strains the back, you can float it up. You could even put a block out there in the future to put your heel on. Or if you have accessibility, you can lower the heel. And if you want more of a stretch, you can lift the arms overhead and stretch them long. So now we're stretching through the hip flexors. Deep and fluid breath. Point the lengthened leg toe for a moment and turn the foot out so the pinky's towards the floor. Turn the big toe up again and almost bring the big toe in towards the floor and feel how the stretch shifts. Come back to center and step in and take the other leg long. And flex the foot first. Feel what that's like. What stretches? Fluid breath. And then point the toe. Take the pinky toe side out so the inner thigh rises a little. Breathe into the stretch. And then bring the big toe back up and perhaps in to land towards the floor. Mine doesn't touch the floor, but it turns in a little. And then exhale, step the foot back in, bring your arms back down, and release yourself from the foam roller and come into your somatic walking. One hip lifts and then the other. Fluid breath. Okay, roll over onto your side and let's come onto the foam roller on our backs. Now, some of you will want a pillow along the length of the foam roller. Now, this is where, Jeannie, you could use your oove, and the top of the oove would be between your shoulder blades. If I remember your body correctly, you'd want some kind of cloth or piece of a mat to kind of support your center of your spine so it doesn't get hurt by that head of the oove. And let yourself rest on the roller. Now, last time, okay, some of you may need this. You may need to roll off and get your yoga blocks. I forgot this. You might want your yoga blocks on each side to place your hands on if it's too much of a stretch to have your fingertips on the floor. Okay. So then we roll back on our foam roller. So then the blocks can be out underneath your hands like so. And they can be on low is probably high enough. Okay, so now we're going to do a little more balance work, but first we're going to roll a little side to side on the roller. Now, not everyone will need a pillow. Some people will want pillows. Some people will be able to keep the chin and hairline even with their head on the roller. Honor your body. Now you can bring your hands a little lower towards your hips if you'd like, if that's less of a strain in the shoulders. So I just moved mine down a little after my shoulder injury skiing. I'm very conscious of people's shoulders. Now let's float one leg to our tabletop and float the other up to join. All right, now we're resting on the back. See if you can come to fingertips on your block or on the floor. And see if you can float off all but one finger. Maybe switch. Be on your index finger for a moment, and then your middle fingers, and then your ring fingers, and then your pinky fingers, and then your thumbs. And then gently touch with all fingers and toe dip. One foot towards the floor, exhale up. Toe dip the next foot, exhale up. Notice how your body is now doing this and having to deal with balance all along the spine. Usually we put a ball under our pelvis and we're just balancing that. Feel the difference as you do this work on the roller. It's even different from the oof because you don't have the same level of support under your pelvis. Now come back up to center. Integrate your shoulders. Gently hug in the banks of your river and take the right leg out to the right. Feel how the right arm has to work harder and connect that right arm to the left buttock. Let that diagonal help you balance. Feel the right low ribs, connect them to the left hip pointer. Feel the right hip pointer connected to the left low ribs. Let that X help you stabilize and come back to center. Now take the left leg out. Left shoulder to right buttock. Feel the cross across your abdomen and come to center. And toe dip and lift and toe dip and lift. As you toe dip, feel into that X across your Pilates square from ribs to hip pointers. Let that X help you to stabilize and see, can you lift one hand just a smidgen off the block so that you're balancing with one hand? And then switch sides, lift the other hand just a smidgen off the block. And notice if one side was harder. Lift both legs towards the sky and do smaller Pilates circles. Notice you're doing your circles now with a balance element in the mix. Come to the top and go down the midline circle, out and up and together. How light can you be on your hands as you do the circles? You're integrating the body to help find balance. Heels come together, knees bend. Float one foot to the floor and then the other. Float both arms up to the sky. Really reach the fingers towards the sky and then release the head of the arm bone around the roller and lift and release and lift and release. You're flossing your shoulders. Now take your feet a little wider to give yourself a little bit more of a base for support. And pause with the arm bone slightly between lifted and integrated and open the left arm to the left. Feel your left foot, your left buttock engage and come back to center. Open the right arm to the right and come to center. A left arm and center, a right arm and center. Now as the left arm goes to the center, see if you can come to the right toe. Perhaps lift the right knee off and pause. A few breaths. Where can you let go effort? I just realized I was pointing my toes again. I'm going to have that gymnastics with me through my whole life. Okay, set the foot back down and draw the arm in. Take your right arm out. Come to the toe of the left foot. Some of you may be able to lift the left shin. Now try lifting only a little way so you don't fall off your roller. Fluid breath. And then draw the arm back in, release the leg down, and inhale. Take your arms overhead into a Y, youthful. Bring the elbows down the side bodies, create a W. wise. So your arms are near the inseam of your shirt. They're not hanging to the floor. Your elbows are down towards your hips and your hands are towards your shoulders. You're creating a W. Okay, elbows parallel with hips along the inseam of your shirt. So Katie, your elbows are on the floor. I want your elbows up, down towards the hips. Yes. And your hands out to the side. It's going to help you open your rotator cuff. So your palms aren't like in namaste, they're opening wide, but the elbows are up by the inseam of your shirt. There you go. And then open your arms wide in a T. And then palms up towards the top of your head. Bring the elbows to your side bodies in an L on each side. Palms up. Feel how that's a bit of a stretch in your rotator cuff. And then release your arms, rest them on your belly, and roll your spine back and forth over the roller. This may be the most important part right here because you're rolling out your erector spinae muscles that can get tight on each side of the spine. This isn't comfortable for you if you have scoliosis. Don't roll, just let yourself be and make sure it feels okay. Fluid breath. And then roll off to your side and release the roller and lay on your back for a moment and just feel how you're a little bit more of a pancake on your back. And nod your tailbone towards earth and tailbone towards sky. I think that balance work on the roller and the oob is so healthy for us. Fluid breath. And then let's roll ourselves over. And let's come up onto hands and knees. And we'll do a little of your multifidi work, Katie. And then some of us will roll out our fascia and others will continue with the tabletop work, okay? So come first just into your neutral tabletop. Have a block nearby. Hands on the mat, look down. Fingers are evenly spread, but they're not spread so wide you flatten your palm. Now dig your finger pads into the mat, lift the middle knuckles. Plant your carpal knuckles right here at the top of your palm and see how if you plant the finger pads and the metacarpal knuckles, but you lift those middle knuckles, you also lift the center of the palm. That's going to help you protect your carpal tunnel. Okay, really important for arm balances and this work we do on hands and knees in Pilates. Now inhale, lift yourself into your cow, stretching tailbone from head and heart. And stretch your chin forward, your low jaw forward of the upper jaw, stretching the throat. Fluid breath. More and more people are getting issues in their necks these days. A lot of women are getting thyroid nodules. We want energy moving in the throat. And then release the jaw, lift the spine skyward, press hands away from knees, breathe into the back body. Now, even as you come into the cat, can you release the shoulders away from the ears and allow for a long neck? Breathe into the low back. If it feels good to you, take the sit bones towards the heels. Still breathing into the low back. You can sway yourself hips side to side a little bit to breathe into your own pattern of tightness. And then come back to your neutral. Okay. Take your right fingers forward and your left toes back and float hand and foot up off the floor. And exhale, touch toes and fingers and inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale, float. So again, where could you be over efforting? You could be over efforting in the buttock and the shoulder, tensing the neck. You could be turning your head up to look forward, which will tense the back of the neck. Fluid breath, try to lighten the effort. And now pause at the top and release. Take the left hand forward, right toes back, and float up. Now check in with your standing elbow. It's not hyperextending. We lift and we lower. Lift fingers and toes and lower. Your finger pads are digging into the mat a little bit. Your metacarpal knuckles are grounding, but those middle finger knuckles are lifting a little bit so that you lift the center of your palm. Lift and touch and lift and touch, and then lift and pause. Relax the shoulder girdle and the face. And release. And inhale a cow. And exhale a cat. Okay, so if you don't want to come up onto the block, you can stay with that. If you do want the block, bring the block in under your right shin and step up onto your block. I'm going to open my arms wider. I don't want you to do that, just so you can see one leg hovering next to the other leg. And then we're going to lower the shin. You don't have to touch the floor, and lift the pelvis back to neutral. And lower the shin and lift to neutral. So it's very subtle. And your whole shin from foot to knee is parallel with the floor, and you're lowering and lifting, strengthening your multifidi. They're wondering what the heck you're doing, so they're trying to stabilize the spine for this movement. Lower and lift and lower and lift. Now pause at the top and make sure your wrists are under your shoulders. You can walk the arms a little wider if you're going to need the support, and take your floating leg out to the side and bring it back in. So you're a doggy at the fire hydrant. Lift the leg and lower. Keep your gaze down into the water like you're snorkeling, and the back of the neck long. Lift and lower. Now you're also working your obliques because you're doing an asymmetrical motion. Now take the knee back and lift the foot towards the sky, knee still bent, and press the foot up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Swing the knee gently through, point the toe, and bring the knee towards the nose. And then open back up, push the foot towards the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One more time. Knee to nose. Lift the foot back skyward and pulse. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Straighten the lifted leg and touch the toes to the floor and lift, touch, and lift. And release back down to the floor, and we'll switch sides. Okay, so hopefully you may be feeling that in a lot of different places, in your glutes, in your obliques, but also we're asking the multifidi to stabilize. So if you have wrist and hand issues, I showed this last class, you could bring in your handy dandy footstool, and you could put your forearms on the footstool and lift shin floating beside shin, and you'd have no pressure on your wrists. Okay, so any of you who have wrist issues, feel free to do it this way. And lower the shin and lift and lower and lift. Remember, you're not moving far. You're not even touching the shin to the floor. And you're floating back up to neutral with the pelvis. So I'm going to come take a look. Try to point that toe so that your toes don't come down towards the floor. And try to have the shin parallel with the floor as much as you can. Yeah, good. You're doing it very subtly. What I don't want to see is people flying that hip up higher than the other hip. Right? Yeah, beautiful. Okay, now come to your neutral and open the leg like you're a dog at the fire hydrant. Try not to tip the hips. Long neck, long through the top of the head. Stay long. Beautiful. Keep looking down into the water. Softening between the shoulder blades. We don't want to come into that kyphosis in the upper back. Fluid breath. One more doggy at the fire hydrant. And then come in and press the foot up towards the ceiling. Knee stays bent. And pulse. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now draw the knee through to the nose. Beautiful posy. And then take it back and pulse. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Remember, it doesn't have to be big. Knee to nose. The pulse doesn't have to be huge. So get into position with the foot lifted and just a little lift. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now straighten that leg out, long, and lower the toes. And lift from the navel under the spine. Beautiful, Susie. Lower and lift. Very nice, Sherry. Nice long spine. Sherry's also up on her knuckles, which you can do if your wrist gets tired to keep a long wrist. And that's enough. Come on down. Wonderful. Okay, so those of you, if you haven't had enough of the tabletop work, you can come into the myofascial sling work. And if you've been too long on your wrists and you'd rather have a little break, you can do it all from a chair. So you could be standing here instead, and you could lift one foot behind you in the opposite wing and lower and lift. You're strengthening the muscles of the shoulder and the muscles of the lifting buttock and your myofascial sling awareness. So you can also do that in a tabletop, right? You could lift one arm out as a wing and the other leg up, and you could even do it from your footstool. So that's the option for those of you that don't have the roller. For those of you who do have the roller, bring the roller in, and we're going to come first onto our shins. I think this is a really important part of the body to roll is the legs, because we use them so much and the tissue can get tight in there. So we're going to come shins right on top of the roller. And once again, it's a little weight onto your wrists. You could probably do it with your footstool. Now, I know none of you are doing this on here, but I just want you to know that's an option. Yeah, look. And that's actually really kind of nice for core work because you're a little higher. So hands planted, we roll the shin. And I want you to remember, those of you rolling here, that you can turn, you can take your feet wider, so knees wider than the hips, and you can turn your toes out and roll the inner shin. Now feel how much core work you're actually doing to roll the roller out and draw it back in. It's pretty awesome. And then come back in towards center. And you can come all the way towards center and try to roll out onto the outer edges of your shin. Like right now, I'm just kind of crossing my feet and trying to do the lower shin. So you can really play on the roller with how can I get to more of the tissue on my roller. Okay. Remember, we also played last week with turning our body slightly to the right and coming to the inside and outside of the legs. Okay, that helps you get that outer shin. And you could turn and come to the other side. So there's lots of opportunity to play here. You need to keep aware of body healthy alignment and keep moving your hands forward because your roller may come forward and then your shoulders come forward of your wrists. We don't want that. So keep walking forward if you need to. And then come back to what feels best for you and roll that for a few more moments. I'm trying to go slow, Susie, and give people a chance. Okay. If you've had enough of the shins, you can come down now onto your quads. And that will mean coming off your roller and bringing it right in front of the knees. And then coming into your low plank on your forearms and rolling. So I'm going to pull my roller back to my knees so that I still have mat under my arms. You see what I'm doing, Anne? Yeah. So I'm rolling up and down. Now it's important here that you remember all the plank work that we've done. You're lifting from underneath your pelvis so that you're not coming into a cow with your lower back. And you can find where it's best for you in the quads. Some of us, it may be down towards the knee. Some of us, it might be mid-muscles. Some of us, again, may want to take the legs wide and come into a turnout to get the inner thigh. Fluid breath. So there are all these fascial connections that weave our muscles together. So this inner quad is woven into our adductor muscles, and they can kind of spiral together. Along the seam of them, there is a fascial connection, and you may feel that as like a tight seam. We want to roll out that seam. And you may feel that between your quads too, on the front of the leg, that there seems to be kind of a seam between the muscles. And we want to roll out the seams. Now here, you can also scoot yourself to one side of your roller and bring one leg up and out to the side so that the knee is supported by the roller and you can roll to the outer quad. Fluid breath. And some of this may end up feeling like, ooh, there are spots that are too painful, and you don't have to do those, or you could bring a blanket over your roller later and try to really gently roll those. Remember, you can also put more pressure on the leg, the bent leg, so that you don't have quite as much pressure on the connections of the outer quad or the IT band. And then you might want to try the other side. So let me come look at your alignment as you're doing this, because that's important too. And that looks good, really good. Yeah, great, Vicki. Make sure you're supporting your spine enough, but allow for freedom of movement too. Yeah, these look good. Yeah, Sherry, nice having your elbow, enough forward that you can roll back, but that you're not compromising that shoulder. Really nice movement, Sharon. Susie, yeah, these look good. Good, Katie. Okay, so now let's come off the roller there and let's come to sitting on a roller. And let's bring the blocks behind us. Okay. So first, let's just roll the buttocks a little bit. So you can roll toward your sit bone, feel your sit bones, and then just back from your sit bone towards your tailbone and towards the kind of V of your sacrum. I just want you to get used to the muscle tissue between those. There's a lot of fascial connection between the sacrum and the sits bones. Now step your feet a little wider. Take your blocks. Okay, let's step your feet a little wider. Take your blocks around to the left and turn towards your right leg a little bit, and then roll that buttock. So get the blocks so they'll support you, so that you can just roll the one buttock between the sit bone and up towards the top of the pelvis. And you may find some pretty tight spaces in there. And so then you may want to take the roll really small and just work those spaces. You may take one of the back hands off and place it on a knee. Use your own body support, become conscious of that, but let yourself find the tightness that you would like to release. And remember, those gripped, locked places, they are using your vitality because they're overworking. So we're reminding them, you don't have to do that. And they kind of loosen up and let go a little bit, and then you might have more vitality during the day. And then you may want to take it around to the other side. Take your block into a position that it'll support you. So I'm trying just to get you to learn to move your body in different positions to roll the tissue. And you'll get better at just exploring your body yourself. You may want to come off the block and put your hand on the floor. fluid movement. Stay with your breath, even when you find the tight spaces. And hopefully this is feeling good in your buttocks. There are so many deep hip muscles in here. They call them the deep six. They include the piriformis, and they can get so tight in their connections between the pelvis and the greater trochanter. We're working on opening those up. Okay, and then roll forward off of the roller and bring the roller to the low ribs. And this will be the end because I'm realizing we've gone over time. Support your head with your hands and roll the spine. Just let your spine roll out a little bit. Now we keep the roller up along the spine of the rib cage because we have more bony support there. We're not taking it down to the vertebrae of the low back, especially if we have osteoporosis. Okay, so gentle rolling, supported by the feet, head really supported by the hands so you can rest the head. Fluid breath. Fluid breath. Yeah. And hopefully that feels really good to your body. You're letting some of the fascial tension go, some of the stickiness between the fascial layers. And then roll yourself forward off the roller and come on to your hands and knees. And take another inhaled cow. And pause in the cow. Now, something that I've been interested in recently is that your rectus abdominis muscle has 2 layers of fascia. It's like it's inside of an envelope. There's a front layer that's towards the navel, towards the front side of the body, and there's a back layer that's toward the spine. And the front layer can become loose and the back layer over tight, kind of like the bow and the bowstring. So now you're opening, your rectus abdominis is stretching here, but think of the inner layer at the back of the rectus abdominis and think about stretching that back side of the muscle. And then exhale, lift your navel, lifting up into your cat pose. Lower your sit bones towards your heels, and maybe you shift the right sit bone back farther and then the left, and you rock a little side to side, stretching out the low back. Deep and fluid breaths. So we didn't get to roll the low back, so we stretch it out on our own with the breath here. And we come up, roll the toes under, lift into downward dog. Feel each finger pad and your metacarpal arch and walk your dog. Maybe you can even feel the center of your palm lifting, or that little olive or almond shaped hole if you put your hands together at the wrist, which will be the tunnel for the carpal tunnel. And we walk the dog and work the hinges of the toes and work the hinges of the ankles and the knees and the hips. And they don't get rusty. And we walk our feet slowly in, heels under sit bones, second metatarsals aligned, and bend our knees, standing child's pose. Now, some of you will bring blocks in and keep your long spine, and some of you have the freedom in the hips to lift the sit bones into Uttanasana, forward fold. Take a few fluid breaths. Yeah. Let your spine hang if that feels good to you. Let your head traction. Okay, and then bend your knees. Lengthen the spine and float yourselves up. Beautiful, Sharon. Come into standing mountain. Good. Pause. in your mountain pose. Place your hand on the top of your head. Root into the whole circumference of your heels and lengthen up through the fontanelle. And now place your fingertips on that center fontanelle and gently lift your energy skyward. Lift and lengthen the spine and then release your arm. Rest your shoulder blades on the back rib cage. Feel the four corners of your feet. Lift your toes, lift your arches. Relax your toes. Line your femur bone up over your tibia. And you should feel like your weight is kind of centered over the back of your arch. Like that's supporting you into the heels. And then feel your way up to the pelvis. We're not throwing it forward or back. Shoulder blades on the back rib cage. We lift the heart without flaring the ribs. And let's inhale. Just float your arms out to the side today. Lift to the balls of the feet. And exhale. Lower the heels, bend the knees forward. And inhale, cross the arms and let them rise up the center body. Lift to the balls of the feet. And release the arms to parallel and pause. Balanced. And then exhale, circle the arms in and inhale, grow tall again. And exhale, or release. And let's inhale in our growing awareness. Let's let it settle into the body. And let's inhale in. Congratulations for coming and moving your energy, moving your lymph, rolling out your fascia. And let's inhale into a fabulous Friday and weekend for all of you. Thank you.